Greetings. Welcome back to QueenElle79. I'm Queen Elle, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. If this is your first time on my channel, I'd like to welcome you. If this is not your first time, then welcome back. You'll see some smoke, and that's just my Yerba Santa. This is sage, but the Yerba Santa or Santa is, and I'll hold it a little closer so you can see it. It specifically helps with healing and also more specifically with regard to respiratory issues. So just have that. I've been having that as I've been working today at my desk. I've had this kind of going. I'll say the one thing that I noticed that's different between the Yerba Santa and the traditional white or even blue sage is that it doesn't burn as long. So it's a strong smoke, as you can tell, but it does not stay lit as long. So I will provide a link in the description to the website that I purchased it from, so you could get some more information from there as well. So today's video is something that I've been considering doing for a while. It is specific to the third eye chakra, and that it's located here between your eyes, basically. And you'll hear people refer to it as their third eye or their sixth sense. So, we have the more tangible senses, and then we have our sixth sense. So, something that I have noticed personally is that the feeling or sense that my third eye had been activated and was a lot more active. I will say throughout my life that it was never excuse me, it was never blocked. Pardon me. So it never felt blocked. And just another way of referring to your third eye is your intuition. So I've never felt like it was ever blocked. I've felt my intuition, even if I didn't know the terminology for it. I have felt a sense of intuition throughout my life, and also whether or not I chose to listen to it even. As I entered adulthood, I noticed that the more that I turn my volume up in case I'm too low, I noticed throughout adulthood that the more that I did not listen to it, I noticed in some cases what seemed like disastrous consequences. So that's something I will say. But for this video, excuse me, for this video specifically, I wanted to go into the signs of your third eye being activated. So I have some notes here using my planner that I purchased from Amazon. So I did take down some notes, and let's get started. So one of the signs, I would say a physical sign, is, at least for me personally, was the tingling, itching, burning sensation between my eyes, literally in this space. And so I'll say I have sinus and allergy issues, but it was different. So not, I would feel the tingling, burning sensation, and then I would go and look, and it almost looked irritated, but without cause, if that makes sense. So kind of like a questionable feeling from an unknown source. Also, and these are in no particular order, excuse me. Also, an increase in messages being downloaded or received. And by messages, and this will tie into the heightened senses, So I know, because of my own spiritual journey and transformation, that the messages that I'm receiving, they are coming from my spirit guides, from the ancestral realm, from the Creator. I know that, but sometimes you may not know where it's coming from. So those messages could be coming either, I mean, you could literally be doing anything and all of a sudden a message will come to you. So you'll either hear a voice in your head or hear what seems like you're hearing a voice externally, either a voice calling you literally by name. I heard a child saying mama, and I knew that it wasn't the voice of one of my children, and actually went and asked just to be on the safe side, because I know that I heard it that clearly from outside of me, and it was none of my children. So there was that. I've heard my name before, and that wasn't an external voice, that was internal. I've heard just a message, just a few words or one word before, and I'll give you tips towards the end of the video of what you can do when these things happen and how you can further connect with source. So I would hear some type of sound or voice speaking to me. So there's that increase in messages being downloaded or received. Also more vivid dreams and a more vivid imagination. So I'm a Pisces. We're all about our vivid imagination, and we're also known for being highly intuitive, with us being the 12th zodiac sign. That's the zodiac sign that essentially gleans from and embodies aspects of all of the zodiac signs combined on top of our own characteristics. But also just being highly empathic as well. So we are known for that. But as far as the vivid dreams and imagination, so I've always, well, I won't say always, I've often remembered dreams. I'm someone who is very, I'm a strong proponent for keeping a journal next to your bed, so that whether you wake up in the middle of the night, you wake up in the morning, and you can recall your dream very vividly. A lot of times, once we start thinking of other things throughout our day and our mind starts being bogged down with, a lot of highly, sensory information, it's easy for us to forget or to cast aside that memory of the dream that we had. But when you wake up, it's most vivid and it's most fresh in your mind. So I always like to keep a journal by my bedside to be able to jot down anything, any message that I've received, or a dream. And something else that has started happening to me more recently is when I wake up, even if I don't recall an actual dream per se, I might wake up and just feel a message. I might wake up with a phrase on my mind, or thinking of a song, or just a statement, or just a feeling. And whatever I'm feeling when I wake up, I write that down. I write down how it makes me feel. I write down what it makes me want to do. I write all of that down. One, so that I have a record of it to look back on, and two, just to kind of gather my thoughts, and to hopefully further understand what the spirit guides are, what their purpose is of giving me that message, and what the instructions are, what they want me to do with that information. So that's important as well. With regard to the vivid imagination, I would say, so I also daydream, and I mean, I want to say it's a Pisces thing, but I know that plenty of us daydream. So not just daydreaming, but literally like your mind just taking you somewhere else, where you figuratively are somewhere else. And I don't believe in coincidences, so I feel like whatever you're thinking or wherever your mind goes, that whether it's from when you're meditating, and sometimes our minds can wander when we're meditating, but if you feel, you will know in your gut, you'll know that there's something more to this, and I will write down whatever that is so that I can go back to it, because for me, without fail, if I don't write it down in that moment, I will forget about it, and I'll be like racking my brain later trying to recall what it was. I'll know how it made me feel, but not remembering exactly what it was. So I definitely recommend investing in a journal. They're super inexpensive. This journal, so I love it. This is actually a planner. This planner, it has, I'll open to a blank page for privacy reasons. It has the page on like a month, and then it has individual pages where you have about a third of the page down to with lines to write down things for that specific day. Sometimes if I have days where I don't need to write anything, then I'll use that space for a day where I have a lot to write, and I'll just cross out the date and just write on down. So it has a lot of information, a lot of space for information rather. But I also have my plan. That was my planner. I have my journal, and turn some blank pages for that. And so just lots of pages, what journals are for. So these both cost, I would say my planner cost maybe about $11. My journal cost like $6. And it was, I believe it's about 160 pages. Well worth the cost. So definitely invest in that so you can start jotting down the information that you're receiving. And because it's meaningful, even if you feel like it's not, it definitely is meaningful. And even if you don't understand or get it in the moment, you will, at some point, things will piece together like a puzzle and it will all make sense. Just because you're getting bits and pieces from time to time, really you're getting, excuse me, you're getting what the spirit guides and the ancestors feel you can handle in that moment. So sometimes you'll start getting a lot, and you'll know then, okay, it might feel overwhelming, but you'll know, okay, I must really be getting somewhere. And that's honestly where I'm at right now, is just getting an influx of information, and I'm writing it down to try to make some sense of it, and just to gather my thoughts, and then hopefully to be able to convey it back to you. So the next thing, and I would say that for me, this is the biggest, most relevant piece to my third eye being activated at this time, is I mentioned heightened senses, but I don't mean those 5 tangible senses. I mean the sixth sense. And so this is broken down to clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. Now, clairvoyance, that is referred to as clear seeing. And so this is seeing with your physical eyes, and also seeing with your third eye, with your intuition. And so the way that you'll see things is sometimes you may look at a person and literally see their aura around them. And aura, if you're not familiar with it, AURA, is seeing the energy that that person possesses, seeing it literally around the person, whether it's light around them, whether it's a color. It will seem almost like they have the light, like the sun shining behind them, from behind them. So that's one thing, but also more often than seeing physically, it's sensing something with your third eye. And I would say that it's literally like seeing the spirit in someone. So you may be around someone and you just know. You can look at them and you know. I'm a part of several groups on Facebook, And something that I've noticed is a lot of people will post a picture of someone and just say, can you tell me about them? Can you read them for me? And it's usually a love interest or something like that. So sometimes it's a selfie and they'll say, can you, just kind of read me basically. And you may have seen different shows or movies where you saw that someone used an article or an item and looked at it, and then they were able to see a lot more or read a lot more into the person who possessed that object. So clairvoyance, it's a term that we're pretty much universally familiar with, but it means clear seeing, and it means to be able to look at someone and to basically know them, to know of them, to know about them by seeing them. It's that clear seeing. Clear audience is clear hearing. And so that is what I was saying as far as hearing, receiving those messages, either externally, like literally hearing a voice say something, or in your mind, hearing something. And something I have found that I thought was interesting. So I'll hear certain things in my dreams when I'm meditating. Um, Lately, it's been while I'm doing dishes, which I find interesting. And I don't know if it's because it's kind of like mindless, thoughtless work. So I'm just washing dishes quietly, alone. And maybe because I'm just by myself and my mind is clear, I'm in a better position to receive any type of messages that are given to me. I've received messages from ancestors that way as well. So that's another way of knowing that your third eye has been activated and is at a heightened level. And the next one is clairsentience. And so it's basically clear feeling, and it's that gut feeling that you have. So I mentioned being an empath, and an empath is somebody that's able to sense or feel what someone else is feeling. So we talk about sympathy, meaning you're able to put yourself in the other person's shoes and actually feel for them. Well, empathy is actually feeling how you feel. I'm able to actually absorb your emotions as my own, and not from you telling me how you feel and me just being able to mimic them, but me actually being able to sense how someone else is feeling. You could be looking, with a blank look on your face and not say anything, and I can actually feel your emotions on the inside, what you're trying to maybe hide or keep suppressed. And so that's part of clairsentience. It's also having that gut feeling. It's being it could be something as simple as driving down the street, and when you're going the same path that you typically go, whether it's between home and work or just to the grocery store, just the same standard path that you typically go. But there would be times where I would get to a light and I would literally have a feeling that would say turn here, and I would think, okay, why would I turn? I used to think, why would I turn here when the store is like 2 blocks straight? But if I turn here, I have to kind of go around and go back around to get to that street again. So I used to kind of wonder, but I would still do it. I would make that turn, but I would still kind of thoughtfully question it, like that's weird, but okay. Where now I would just do it and wouldn't even think anything of it. And and just knowing, trusting and knowing that it's coming from the spirit guides, it's coming from source, coming from my angels, and trusting that they have my best interest at heart, and that's where it's coming from. So that's a part of clairsentience. So when you start to feel, and it's not necessarily all of these, it's definitely not none of these, but even if you start to notice just a couple, one or two or more of these things that I mentioned, your third eye is definitely, it has been activated. It is something that if, let's say, you don't feel any of these things, but you would like for your third eye to be activated, one way to do that, I would say, to definitely meditate. Meditate daily. Meditate as often as you can. If you're new to meditation, what I would recommend that helped me out was to start potentially with a guided meditation. I would do a 10-minute guided meditation. They have a lot of videos on YouTube with guided meditation. It essentially is someone it's guided as it sounds, where you are literally you're just centered. You have, your eyes closed, you're in a comfortable position, and someone is, there's usually a theme. Someone is kind of talking you through the meditation, talking you through doing those cleansing breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth, shifting your focus, wanting you to stay centered on what they're talking about, and stay centered on truly clearing your mind to be receptive to anything from the spiritual realm, and not to allow your mind to remain cluttered with all of the thoughts that we have on a daily basis. So that would be the place to start, that I would recommend, is to start with even a 10-minute guided meditation. There are some people who feel like if you're not meditating for at least an hour or more, that it's not beneficial. I do not agree with that. I believe that any amount of meditation is better than no meditation. So even if you started with the once a day, 10-minute guided meditation, then you can move up to maybe 2 10-minute guided meditations, like, break it up, 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening. And then whether you do it in the morning or evening, that is all up to you. There are a lot of people who believe that you should do meditation before going to bed, and that it will help you to sleep better. And that makes perfect sense to me. What I have found for me especially is it's difficult for me to meditate right before bed without potentially falling asleep. And that's even if I'm sitting upright, because it is so soothing and so relaxing. For me, I feel like I'm showing my appreciation to my ancestors and to my spirit guides by meditating in the morning before getting on social media, before checking my email, before really doing anything. I might put some tea on and then go on and meditate while my tea is steeping. For me, I feel like it gives me a great kickstart to my day. But that's just me personally. You can meditate in the middle of the day. There's really no right or wrong, and there are different ways as far as the positioning to meditate. You can lie down, you can sit in the lotus position, which is the traditional position that you would see people who are involved in yoga practices or meditation, that they're sitting in. Or you can sit upright, you can sit in a chair, you can sit in a couch or sofa. It truly is up to you. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. But I would say to open your third eye, or activate it, that starting with meditation would definitely be the way to go. So if you feel, let's see, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I would say to anyone who feels like their third eye might be overactive, there are different chakra tests out there that you answer several questions, and they can tell you, not so much definitively, but just give you an idea of if any of your chakras are underactive or right on the money or overactive. And so if you find that you have an overactive chakra, third eye chakra rather, that would mean that maybe you are feeling like you're receiving an overwhelming amount of information from the ancestral realm. Sometimes it could be because maybe you're not listening to what you're being told, or you're not acting on it, or you're trying to put it off, or trying to brush it off, like sweep it under the rug. And so you might be constantly reminded of the same thing. If you feel like you're receiving a lot of different messages, I would wonder where the messages are coming from, whether it's coming from your ancestors or coming from your spirit guides, which a lot of times they're one and the same, but um, spirit guides could be like your angels versus your ancestors. If you feel like you're being overloaded with information and it's starting to overwhelm you, you can communicate with your spirit guides and your ancestors. You can say, you can ask, okay, what do you want me to know right now? What do you want me to do right now? How can I serve you right now? How can I serve the world right now? You can ask those questions, and you can also say, um, you know, please do this and not that, whether it's seeing a presence of a spirit. You can say, okay, please don't do that. That scares me. I mean, you're able to communicate with your spirit guides, so I would definitely recommend doing that. Let me see if I have anything else. Okay. No, that's it. So I would definitely say if you have any questions with regard to your third eye, feel free to ask me, ask any other spiritualist that you resonate with. Feel free to research. I search online. Now, I don't always um, really listen to everyone who I hear online or every source that I read online. So you have to use discernment to practice you know, some active wisdom with regard to who you listen to and who you do not. You have to be careful of that because there are shysters out there. There are people who fake for money, people who fake for show, and also the uninformed who think that they know and they don't. So you really want to be cautious of that as you're progressing along this journey. But I'm here, so if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. I'm actually feeling that tingling right now. So um, I will say that it was a bit disarming at first for me, and now I welcome it. I enjoy it. It really gives me peace of mind and lets me know that I'm on the right track. So definitely welcome it. It's nothing to be afraid of. It can be a bit disconcerting in the beginning, but just know that your spirit guides in the ancestral realm, they have your back. They're here for you, not against you. So with that, I will let you go. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any future video suggestions or any topics that you would like me to touch on or expand on, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'm on Facebook for I do daily card readings actually on Facebook and Instagram. But for any of my services, for any readings or astrological charts, feel free to reach out to me on my Facebook page. It's QueenElle79. And then on Instagram, I'm Queen_Elle_79, and that's ELLE, just as my YouTube pages. So there are daily card readings there as well. And feel free to check out some of my other videos. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. Ashe, blessings to you. Peace.